Watch Dogs didn't get the best of starts as a franchise, but it's surely been on the up and up since then. Watch Dogs 2 was a genuinely solid game, and the upcoming Watch Dogs Legion is promising to be even better. It's got a lot of great ideas, some that are completely unprecedented in a game of this scale, and fans have been curious to see how they will turn out. Now, after over a year of waiting, which also entailed a pretty sizable delay, Watch Dogs Legion is almost here, and ahead of its launch, we're going to talk about some crucial details that you should know about the game. Setting. After having explored Chicago and the San Francisco Bay Area in the first two games, Watch Dogs is now leaving the United States behind. Watch Dogs Legion is set in a near-future cyberpunk-light version of London, with the city having become a dystopian mess combating excessive surveillance and, in turn, tyranny. And what exactly is all that going on? Premise. As Watch Dogs Legion begins, things are not going well in London. After a devastating terrorist attack by a group known as Zero Day that explodes a number of bombs across London, DedSec are framed for the attack and blamed for the resulting losses. What happens then is no better, with private military contractor Albion taking over London for its protection. With complete access to the city's CTOS, Albion has effectively turned London into a tyrannical city-state. It will fall to DedSec to not only clear their name, but also take back the city from the clutches of Albion. Play as anyone. As you're fighting against Albion and regaining control of London, you won't be playing as one single character. No, instead you'll be playing as several. That's the central hook of Watch Dogs Legion, of course. Pretty much every single NPC you see in this game can be recruited to DedSec, following which they become a playable character. So you're effectively playing Pokemon, but with humans. Recruits. Each recruit you, recruit also has their own unique strengths and weaknesses. Every character will have certain specializations, many of which stem from their professions and areas of expertise, and you'll be able to use these unique strengths and abilities to tackle objectives and challenges in unique ways. For instance, you can play as a beekeeper and call in a swarm of nano bees to attack your enemies, or you can play as a construction worker and fly right over a heavily guarded area perched atop your construction drone. Ubisoft have promised that there are a ton of variety to the characters and abilities available in the game, so here's hoping these are used properly as well. Map size. Most open-world games these days, especially those made by Ubisoft, often get criticized for being too large, pretty much to the point of being bloated. We don't know just yet whether that will turn out to be an issue in Watch Dogs Legion, but we can confidently say that it is at least going to be a rather large game. Its developers have said that London is going to be about as large as San Francisco Bay Area was in Watch Dogs 2. We might not know an exact figure to pin down just yet, but we can at least be assured that Watch Dogs Legion will boast a pretty large map to explore. Interiors. Something else that we see quite regularly in open-world games, even those that are the most detailed games out there, is a lack of interior environments, or at least interior environments that stand up to the exteriors in terms of detail and prominence. Watch Dogs Legion is looking to avoid this issue. Once again, we don't know the specific details just yet, but the game's developers have said that there will be a lot more interior environments in the game, including shops, landmarks, and more. Co-op. While the single-player story is going to be the meat and potatoes in Watch Dogs Legion, players will be able to dive into some online content as well. Watch Dogs Legion will allow up to 4 players to jump into online co-op together. This will entail dedicated online content and missions, as well as various optional activities, boxing, freestyle football, and more. Aiden Pierce. Aiden Pierce isn't exactly anyone's favorite character. In fact, he's pretty much the perfect encapsulation of some of Watch Dogs 1's biggest weaknesses. But for those who enjoy a healthy dose of nostalgia and also have fond memories of Aiden, Watch Dogs Legion will have a treat for you. As revealed by Ubisoft not long ago, he will be added to the game in a post-launch update as a fully playable DLC character, and will also have his own story-centric content for players to enjoy as well. Season Pass. Those who purchase the Gold and Ultimate editions of Watch Dogs Legion will get access to its Season Pass. And why exactly should you care? Well, it includes plenty of content. On top of a DedSec car skin, it will also feature plenty of playable content, including 3 DedSec missions, 4 unique playable characters, and 2 post-game story expansions. On top of that, anyone who has the Watch Dogs Legion Season Pass will also get Watch Dogs 1 for free. RTX. As we move into the 9th generation of consoles, ray tracing will finally become an industry standard, but most AAA releases even these days have ray tracing. Ubisoft have confirmed that Watch Dogs Legion will also support ray tracing on PC. In fact, it's one of the games that Nvidia have used to show off the enhanced ray tracing capabilities of their new RTX 30 series. Next Gen. It's not just the next gen of Nvidia that has the full support of Watch Dogs Legion, so too do the upcoming next gen consoles. Ubisoft have said for a while that the game, like most of their upcoming games in the coming months, is going to be a cross-gen release. In fact, not only is it going to be cross-gen, it's also going to be a next-gen launch title. Following its October 29th launch for PS4, Xbox One, PC, and Stadia, Watch Dogs Legion will become available on the Xbox Series X and Xbox Series S on day 1 on November 10th, and ditto for the PS5 on November 12th. Next-gen enhancements. So what exactly can we expect from Watch Dogs Legion on the next-gen consoles? Like the PC version, the game will feature hardware-accelerated ray tracing, in addition to other visual enhancements like high-resolution textures and improved shadow quality, and other improvements, such as faster load times. Being a cross-gen game, you shouldn't expect it to be too much of a leap, but we are still hoping Ubisoft will leverage the more powerful next-gen hardware as well as they can. Upgrade path. Ubisoft have so far committed to allowing free next-gen upgrades for pretty much all of their major upcoming cross-gen releases, and Watch Dogs Legion is going to be no different. If you buy the game on PS4 or Xbox One, you will be able to upgrade it to the PS5 or Xbox Series X or S version for free. Meanwhile, cross-gen saves and cross-gen progression will also be supported. PC requirements. If you're playing Watch Dogs Legion on a PC, what exactly are you going to need in your machine? Well, there's quite a few options. At 1080p on low settings, you'll require either a GeForce GTX 960 or a Radeon R9 290X, alongside either an Intel Core i5-4460 or an AMD Ryzen 5 1400. At 1080p on high settings, you'll need either a GeForce GTX 1060 or a Radeon RX 480, with either an Intel Core i7 4790 or an AMD Ryzen 5 1600. For 1440p gameplay, you'll need either a GeForce RTX 2060S or a Radeon RX 5700, with either an Intel Core i7 7700K or an AMD Ryzen 5 2600. While 4K gameplay will require either a GeForce RTX 2080 Ti or a Radeon 7 alongside either an Intel Core i7 9700K or an AMD Ryzen 7 3700K. RAM requirements are 8GB for both 1080p settings and 16GB for 1440p and 4K gameplay. You'll require 45GB of free storage space across all settings, but for 4K gameplay, you'll also need an additional 20GB for texture packs. PC requirements RTX. If you want to play with ray tracing on, you're going to need a pretty beefy rig. With ray tracing enabled on high settings at 1080p gameplay, you'll need a GeForce RTX 2070, alongside either an Intel Core i5 9600K or an AMD Ryzen 5 3600. Meanwhile, for 4K gameplay on high settings with RTX enabled, you'll need a GeForce RTX 2080 Ti alongside either an Intel Core i7 9700K or an AMD Ryzen 7 3700X. RAM requirements are 16GB for both settings. You'll require 45GB of free storage space across all settings, but for 4K gameplay, you'll also need an additional 20GB for texture packs. And that about does it for this video. If you enjoyed what you watched and want to see more from Gaming Bolt, you can always hit that subscribe button and turn on the bell icon next to it. That way you will never miss any of our videos.